I did a lot of research on Sixto Rodriguez a while back, and he had a Native American parent and a Hispanic parent, a Mexican parent, I think. And he was living in Detroit. It's weird, right? That doesn't play in the national media, right? You think a Hispanic guy is going to be living in Arizona. He's going to be living in California. What? So, Sixto was the modern Midwest. That is the best way to describe Sixto Rodriguez. And he wasn't ashamed of this. He didn't change his name from Zimmerman to Dylan. He didn't change his name from Bernstein to Byrne. He didn't change his name from who's the La Bamba? This happened with the La Bamba guy. Richie Valenzuela became Richie Valens. He didn't do that. He put his name out, Rodriguez. Who's Rodriguez? Is he making salsa, cumbia? What's Rodriguez making? No, Rodriguez was giving Zimmerman a run for his money in 1970. Was giving Bruce Springsteen a run for his money. And I think he did it pretty well. He's giving James Taylor. He sounds a bit like James Taylor, but not that boring. A lot more interesting than James Taylor. And he lived and died for 80 years in Detroit, Michigan. And nobody in this country ever cared. And that's not to sound depressing, that's just the truth. There's a whole documentary about it. LA never said, Rodriguez, get out here. And maybe he didn't want to go. He was famous for his last 70 years, but by that point uh, he already had cataracts. He already had various health issues. A 70-year-old man living in a little house in Detroit, and he was a great writer, great songwriter, uh, decent singer, and he was a construction worker, a Hispanic Native American construction worker from Detroit, Michigan. And there was a nice documentarian from Sweden who came out and he made a video. He made a documentary that won an Oscar about Sixto Rodriguez. And there's this funny part where he emerges from his house and it's snowy and he's been living in there. I think he has a wooden fireplace. So this guy's just raw. He's real. And he didn't seem to care too much about his fame or his. He didn't care about his music even towards the end. If I were Sixto, I would have released another record, but he never did. I don't know why. There's no Sixto record from after he won an Oscar. I would have said, here's Sixto when he's 70. It probably would have gone platinum or something. People loved him. A lot of people listen to his music overseas. That's how he became popular. The Australians and the South Africans, I think, mostly South Africa. But yeah, all those little colony countries in Oceania, they loved Sixto Rodriguez. They thought, Rodriguez, who's Rodriguez? And they just listened to him. And they said, wow, this is cool. And it's good stuff. It's as high quality songwriting as Bob Dylan, as Beatles, all that stuff. It's just as good, which is very eye opening, right? Because here's these people who claim that they're gods among men, and that the exceptional talents win out, and that Pete Best just wasn't good enough. That's why he didn't make it, and all that crap. And Bob Dylan is just a god among men. I can't stand these people who worship these boomer musicians. I cannot stand them. They're not that exceptional people. They're not that exceptional. They're kind of lucky. They played the media well. Why do you think Bob Dylan changed his name, right? It's about manipulating the media. And I'm not saying they weren't good. I've said they were as good as this Sixto Rodriguez fella. they were as good. I'm not saying that you can just put out crap and people listen to it. Nowadays, you probably can't. Hey, I'm dooming. I'm going to get some hate in the comments because I'm not a. And I'm not even talking about the kids who say I'm dooming. I'm talking about the kids who like worshipped these like. I saw this in Minneapolis a lot. You see it less in Chicago and elsewhere. But yeah, these kind of far leftist cities where the boomer left has taken over, there's a reverence of the rock and roll elite of the 60s that's almost spiritual. And it's like, oh, Paul McCartney. Like, oh God, like what they did was like our like Allah, like Muhammad going to Mecca or something, was like Jesus rising. That's how important this was to them, was when McCartney wrote Helter Skelter. And it's like, come on. It's not even that's not, they weren't good and it wasn't important. It's that these poor kids who grew up with these leftist kind of obsession with music and culture and the hippie parents, they see people like Wilco and people like the Grateful Dead as like spiritual leaders. And I've seen that personally. And I think it's disgusting. And I think Sixto Rodriguez throws a big wrench in all of it. That's why I like Sixto, because he's a Hispanic guy who never made it. And they'll say, oh, it's because the world is racist. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying the leftists are wrong about everything. Obviously, like I said, maybe he changed his name to Sixto Smith. Oh, cool, Sixto Smith. Yeah, it makes good folk music. You know what I'm saying? So I respect Sixto for being true to himself. And I think he lived and died as he wanted, probably. He could have been a big star. Motown screwed him over. It's a great documentary. But yeah, I just want to talk about the baby boomer sort of worship and the narratives that go beyond that. And I think we're going to see a reanalysis of music in the coming decades. And rest in peace, Sixto Rodriguez. Listen to the songs. Cause is a good one because I lost my job 2 weeks before Christmas. It's real. And he really lived it, unlike Bruce Springsteen. He really lived this stuff. He lived that life and died in that life. And you didn't hear about him. And he's not some rapper who's singing about money. He was a real Midwest Hispanic songwriter. He was his own guy, and I respect him. And you should listen to him. And he came up with a lot of cool stuff. Cause, Sugar Man is just, it's legendary stuff. It's as good or better than the stuff you listen to. And he had every single talent that you need to be a successful folk musician in the U.S., and he wasn't. So look into that, guys. This was pre-internet. There's a lot of factors going into it, but I don't want to obfuscate that the world is a wild place, and yeah, the truths might not be the truths. And rest in peace, Sixto Rodriguez, the greatest Midwest songwriter. God bless you.